Afternoon, VC. All right, so as most of you know, if you're into jazz, tomorrow's a uh, big date as Miles Davis would have turned 100 years old. Um, I'm not going to show all my Miles Davis records. I think I have close to like 45 or so LPs. Um, and of course, I got into Miles very early when I got into collecting jazz records. And so I was able to acquire most of my Miles stuff in the first couple of years. That stuff was very plentiful, close to a decade ago now. Before the boom and the prices went nuts and all that kind of thing. I started going to conventions that they had in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which is a bit of a drive, but there were some good dealers there, and I got a lot of Miles stuff from those conventions. The guy from Atlanta was always there. What was his name? Ray. Got a lot from Ray. Ray was old school. He used the old price guide book. God knows how old that fucking book was. And he did some conventions in Charlotte too, and then he broke down once on the way up from Atlanta in the heat of the summer, and that was it. He was done. He hasn't come to conventions since. He used to do the Greg Neal shows. And I think as far as my favorite Miles Davis record, it's still ESP. It's still to me just such a beautiful record. That's my number one Miles record. There's a lot of different favorites, of course, throughout all the different phases. But lately, as far as collecting, over the last 4 or 5 years, I haven't really bought hardly any Miles LPs. I think really the only one that I'm still after is Pangea, an original Pangea I'd love to find. Because I have a Garta, and it's kind of the companion piece to that. So that one's escaped me many times. There was a really nice copy at Dusty Groove. It was pretty expensive. I passed on it, and I should have got it because now it's gone up, like everything else. But one day that is the only one I really am after. So what I do now is mostly at conventions. I'll pick up 7-inches. Old original 7-inches. I like finding the ones from other countries. I have just a few here that I'll show, and this is kind of what I spin now. I don't reach for my Miles records like I used to put on the turntable. I really like spinning these 7-inches. So I have this one on the Metronome label from Sweden, the Miles Davis All Stars Walkin'. So the Miles Davis Sextet. J.J. Johnson's on trombone, Lucky Thompson tenor, Horace Silver piano, Percy Heath bass, and Kenny Clark on the drums. And I will carefully show you some of these sleeves are pretty fragile. These old laminated sleeves from Sweden. This is, there's the Metronome label. So Walk-In Part 1 and 2 is this single EP. Really good long jam here. I want to say Greg Neal had a bunch of these, the guy that runs the shows in Charlotte, and I got this one I think from him probably at the Gastonia show. I need to pay attention when that's coming up again. These also would have been from him, maybe one of the Charlotte shows. So you have A Night in Tunisia, Part 1 and 2. This one's not in the best of shape, but it's an original on Prestige. I love that Prestige maroon label that they did for their singles. I also have, this one's in much better shape. When I Fall in Love on the A, and I Could Write a Book on the B. On Prestige. That's off of Steamin' with the Miles Davis Quintet, that single. This single's off of the Musings of Miles, the Night in Tunisia. That's off. early one there. This is an album I love of his. This is the single 7 Steps to Heaven. This is a cool one because it's on an orange Columbia label. This one's in really nice shape. And the B-side is Devil May Care. I think I got this at one of the Charlotte conventions from Greg Neal. This one is, yeah, probably my second favorite Miles record, Lift to the Scaffold, or, and my French is awful, Ascensor pour Lacafon. I don't know how to say it. I butchered that. Fontana label. This is a French copy, early copy. Beautiful stuff. You know, when they were making this film, Miles showed up and they projected it out on a screen and he just played to what he was seeing. That's how this was made. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Let me show you the Fontana label. This one's also kind of a sleeve you got to be careful with. Do I have this one? I have a, let me see what we got here. Yeah, this is a cool one to show. Really cool labels on the front. This is in great, fantastic shapes. This sounds brilliant. I can't remember where I got this one. Possibly eBay. There were some records I got from Tour in Montreal. I don't think this is one of them. Some French stuff from them. Or some rare 7 inches. Nah, I think I got this on eBay. And was very cheap. Here's the one that came from Lars in Sweden. Steamin' with the Miles Davis Quintet. This is a Swedish original on Metronome. There's the Metronome label. Love that one. It's a beautiful copy. Here's one from one of the recent Charlotte conventions. Volume 1 of Miles Ahead. Miles Davis plus 19. You know, orchestra under the direction of Gil Evans. With the cover that he absolutely hated and had changed. Now there's more volumes of the 7 inches of this to complete the full album. So this just has the first 3 songs, My Ship, Lament, and New Rumba. That's really a really cool piece. I'd never seen these before, so I need to find the other volumes. And it's on this Columbia label here. And this is in fantastic shape. And these are, you know, these are all fairly cheap when you find them at these conventions. And then last but not least, I got a couple of promos here that I picked up at the show up in Clemens, up near Winston-Salem. Zonk Man was there, and my friend Joe went, and Art the NC Vinyl Picker was there. Girls of Kilimanjaro, Part 1 and Part 2. White label promo. These are mint. There was a guy selling his personal stuff. He had a lot of great 7 inches. I got a Dick Dale from him too. Original, just beautiful condition. The guy took really good care of his records. And then we have In a Silent Way, Parts 1 and 2, white label promo. Just a beautiful, beautiful copy. And that's a great, great one right there. But yeah, those are kind of what I go to spin now with Miles. And yeah, 100 years. Take care. Peace.
Que se passe-t-il exactement?
Eh bien, c'est le musicien américain Miles Davis qui est en train d'improviser sur les images de mon film Ascenseur pour l'échafaud.
Vous voulez dire qu'il regarde les images et il joue de la trompette en fonction de ces images?
C'est-à-dire qu'ils sont des images qu'il connaît bien puisqu'il a vu le film et nous avons discuté de ce qu'on pourrait faire. Et ensuite, actuellement, avec sa formation, on lui projette les images et il enregistre.
Il n'a pas écrit de partition avant?
Absolument pas.
Comme ça lui vient?
Comme ça lui vient.
Il serait venu le lendemain, ça aurait été une autre musique en somme.
Oui, et même d'une prise à l'autre, c'est différent.
C'est une très jolie performance.